But yeah, he was literally like pushing this agenda to his supporters. He was making it like it's fact. Like, you can't send out an email telling people that the election is being stolen from you. And then you got little dum-dums like Tommy, whatever her face, saying,
Lauren,
tweeting about it. Like, girl, where's
there's just some people. There's some people who I feel like when they speak, it's just like a little air bubble just full of nothing. Yeah. And Tommy Lauren, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, it's a list of them that I'm just like, you speak and it does nothing for me. So I just don't even look your way. Like, you're not even worth the bit of my attention span. Hey, welcome back, 5011 fam. So it's Jay and D here, and we just want to welcome you guys back to the 5011 Chronicles. We're here with another set of hot takes. And for those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, don't know what we're about, let me tell you what we're about. Here we discuss everything from politics to pop culture. We represent 5011 voices. We detail 5011 experiences, and we have and continue 5011 conversations. So thank you for tuning in for the first time or tuning back in. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So we've got a pretty interesting episode this week. Yeah. It's going to be a nice little, like I said earlier, I was talking to D and I described this episode as like a hot, juicy burger with a set of fries on the side and a milkshake. This is a whole meal right here. And obviously, we're talking about the election and everything that's been going on politically. And at least being able to just break down some of the timeline and just some of the things that are pretty pertinent and pretty interesting parts of this conversation. So thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome back to the 5011 Chronicles. So let's go ahead and kick off this conversation. Let's talk about this election.
I am a CNN analyst. I just want everybody to know. I have my certificate. I have done my studies. Okay. I have written my dissertation and turned it in to the professor. I am officially a CNN analyst. Okay. Because I was tuned in. My phone stayed on CNN for days.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm into politics. Though. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I'm actually really into, like, I've always been like that. I remember like when the 2000 election happened and I was like sitting in the living room tuned in, very very sad about John Kerry not winning, but whatever, that's
right
ago.
Right.
And I was like a kid then. I was like 6 or 7 years old back then, so like I've been into politics. I definitely was tuned into all of it, all of the shenanigans.
So for me, I've never been the biggest fan of politics because, I just don't really trust most politicians. But but this particular election has been one of those that's been really hard to ignore. Like, and it's been an extremely important one.
Very
and before we even hop into the craziness of the post-election, let's just kind of let's break down the timeline a little bit so that everybody realizes how quickly everything escalated. So I just want to let you guys, I want everybody to realize that it's November and Joe Biden he became the presumptive nominee in April. First of all, that was a little late than normal. So he became the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party April 8th. He spent all that time leading up to now. Trump has, up until the 3rd of November, which was the election day. They've spent all of that time campaigning and debating. I mean, the debates were horrendous. We saw that hot mess. I feel so bad for the moderator because that first one, I was like, oh, I would have already
Did you expect
Trump out.
Anything less from him?
No, I did not.
And then we all know, like, Biden's mouth, like, he like me, like, it's gonna be real blunt to the point I'm gonna tell you what the tea is. So it's like when you got somebody, shout. Did he lie?
I poured over. I fell off of the couch. It was everything that I needed.
Because I don't know if you saw like the when he was running with Obama, and like I watched those debates when he was doing the VP debates then, and like Joe Biden is cutthroat in them debates. Like he don't play in those debates. So I already knew. I was like, this is going to be some tomfoolery because Trump got a smart mouth and Biden can come with it. You know what I'm saying?
And Biden can come
with it. But I will
He
say the comments about his son, too far. Way too far.
When I was hearing the comments about his son, I was really asking myself, first of all, relevance. Right. Second of all, you're really showing how much of a child you are right now, 45. You're really showing that you had no business originally in the seat. You should have never. First of all, I just want to flash back to 2016 really quick. Ooh, because just for a brief, look, I think just stepping outside of 2020 for a minute should be a breath of fresh air. Because
not to 2016. Can we go to 2015?
Right. Okay. Yeah, we can go to 2015. Perfect. We can go to 2015. Because when Trump became part of the conversation around the presidency, I remember laughing and I remember thinking, oh, that shouldn't happen. Like, we shouldn't have to worry about that. Like, we shouldn't have to. But as we got closer to the election, and I remember because we were at that job that we used to have, which we will not name because I don't want to give them any clout. I don't want to give them anything. We're not giving them any of this airtime. But I was at that job, and I remember I was hosting, and I was watching him win the election, and my mind was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what? I never thought that this was actually gonna. I just remember the whole mood in the establishment changing. Like, the whole mood changed, and everybody was like, "I'm ready to go home. Like, I need to go home."
Was I there that day? I don't even. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't feel like you might have been, but I don't think you were there that night. I don't think you were. I remember it being just a few of us, and I just remember my hand on my head for a lot of that shift. But flashing forward to now, the fact that, with he was going for re-election, I just found it so crazy that there were so many people in the Republican Party, or not, I'm not gonna say so many, I'm not gonna say that, but there was a contingent of the Republican Party that was not with him at all.
Right.
They weren't with it. They had put out a separate ad. There were some Republicans coming out and supporting Biden. So I found that very interesting that your party really isn't supporting you. And some of them are just sticking with you because they're intimidated or scared of you. But that whole campaign moment and that whole debate moment was just ridiculous. So we get to November the 3rd, Election Day. And leading up to that, we had all of the foolishness going on with the USPS and with, mail-in ballots and all of that's coming in leading up to the 3rd. So I actually went, and I know that you, if I'm not mistaken, did you mail in your ballot?
So I did an absentee ballot, but we turned it in at the actual place where we were registered. So you dropped yours off.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I voted in place. I went and I voted at the polling place. And I'll be honest, I wish more people had the voter experience that I had, because I knew where I was going.
You were in and out.
I pulled up to my place. I parked my car, and no lie, in and out. 5 minutes. They were like, "You have your ID?" Showed my ID. She looked at it. She pulled this little thing around. She said, "Is that the address?" I said, "Yep, that's the one." Clicked it. We went out. She said, "As soon as the place opens up, you can go vote." A place opened up. I went in. I voted. And he was like, "Oh, just turn it in right there." 5 minutes later, I was in my car. And it was just crazy. Like, because
that's the experience I had too.
We're in line for 4 hours.
Yeah, I had that experience in the first, when he won last time. But I went at night, like not long before it actually closed, and I did my vote at night, and I was just kind of in and out. So, but
even mine.
It wasn't as many voters back then either.
Fast. That's true, because this election had, record number of voters. Biden made history in being the most voted for presidential candidate. So he received the most votes any presidential candidate has ever received, which is noteworthy. But it's also noteworthy to bring up the fact that in those who voted for Trump, his same support base was there and voted for him again. He had a huge influx in a growth in votes. But what I found was interesting, and I don't know if you heard this, and it's a side note. Black women in 2016, there was 4% of Black women voted for Trump. In this election, it was 8%, which I found very interesting. And part of that, I think, is because there were more voters. But I do think that there was a conversion of some votes. What would you
and
think
not just black women, because it was the higher percentage of black men.
There was definitely absolutely with black men. But we kind of know with black men why. Like, I think what's interesting about that is the black men who did vote for Trump have absolutely proven why and said why they voted for Trump. But outside of the what's her name? Candace Owens.
Who?
Outside of them, those on the TV. Right, exactly. Outside of them, I just found that as interesting that there was an increase in both black men and black women in votes for Trump. So that to me just kind of was interesting.
It was not so much so surprising because for whatever reason, people feel like finances cancel out everything else, apparently. And, when people get to a certain, stature, because most of the black people who voted for him are always citing business reasons or taxes and stuff like that.
Or religion. Which blows my mind.
Right. Because did y'all not see his speech where he flubbed the whole scriptures and stuff? He don't know. He don't know.
Do y'all, and I'm like, I've asked some Trump supporters who are Christians, I've asked them, what about this man screams Christian to you? What about him? Is it the grabbing of him? Is the grabbing? Because I don't remember that being in my King James Version. I don't remember that being in my NIV. I'm just going to say, I don't remember thou shalt grab them. I don't remember that. So I don't see how anything he's done, from all of the disgusting acts and the crazy things that have come out of his mouth, I don't see how that reflects Christ.
But funny thing, I saw somebody post, they was like, during this whole thing, they was like, I see why Harriet couldn't free everybody. And it's the truth.
That's true.
It's always going to be those people who feel like it doesn't apply to them. You know what I'm saying? People above a certain tax bracket feel like these race issues, certain people, not all people, but they feel like these race issues don't apply to them. They, sometimes when you get money and you get power, you forget your skin is still
black. Come on now. That's what gets me and there's even times when they get pulled over and they get reminded real quick, oh yeah, you're still black. Like,
and the rappers are what really blow me. Is like, y'all are targets. Y'all are like prime targets. They be waiting for a rapper to do something. They be waiting to pull over y'all tour bus. Did y'all forget in the beginning? Like, a lot, even like Waka Flocka, I remember him always getting, you know what I mean? Sir, did you forget? Like, and my thing is like, if you got all this money, this little bit of taxes shouldn't pay them taxes.
Be nothing.
Let me tell you something. I, as a bartender, was paying taxes. Okay,
come on now.
So, and I still didn't vote for Trump.
Like,
and Georgia be trying to get the coins up out of my pocket every year. And I'll be like, you'll get it from yourself next year.
Meaning that we've come to a place in a society that this is someone who has been president and was running again. So, okay, we get past the election, and on the 7th of November, enough votes had been counted for there to be a nice presumption that Biden became president-elect. So he's been considered having won the election, but he hasn't won the election. And essentially what we're waiting on is the December 14th meeting of the Electoral College to do their formal vote and the January 6th certification from that vote. Right. So I don't know if your stomach was in as many knots as my stomach was going to bed. And I don't know if you might have just been popping up to check your phone, because, I would put that past you, because I know there were a couple nights I wake up.
I was checking.
Hold that thumb on that little thumbprint, because I still have a thumbprint on mine. I'm not afraid to say it. I hold my little thumb on there, get my little results, see what CNN had to say, and okay, he's moving up. And I don't know, it was one of those moments, seeing the progression in those 4 to 6 battleground states where there has been a lot of amazing work being done on the ground, by like, I mean, I don't think we could even go further in this podcast and not talk about the crazy, amazing work that Stacey Abrams did in Georgia.
Stacey.
And just, come on now, and hitting the ground and running and getting so many people.
I think it was like 800,000 voters.
800,000, yes, 800,000 voters registered. And then not only, because I don't know if you know this about Stacey Abrams, what I love about this woman is this is a woman with a plan.
Yes.
She is so intelligent, but she has a plan. Like, I love that. But she helped these people not only get registered to vote, but to come up with a plan for what they were going to do. Were they going to mail in their ballot? Were they going to go to their polling place? What were they going to do? She helped them and her people, the people that she was working with, the organizations that she was connected to that were doing this groundwork. Yeah. That is a reason that Georgia became such a battleground state in this election. And it's still, because at the time of this recording, I think today's the 10th of November, we still don't have a final tally on all the states.
I have a few things to say.
Which is, come on now, let them know.
So, because I know, we fast forwarded, but let's not fast forward through the shenanigans that occurred between the 3rd and the 7th. First of all, Georgia, since that's the last state we brought up. Georgia, let me just say this. Now, to all of my young Black people in Georgia, specifically in the city and on the east side in Savannah, who came out in droves, came out, brought the numbers, you know what I'm saying, and voted and really took this serious, shout out to y'all, okay? Because if our state wasn't about to do what this little conspiracy theory I have going on did, we would have been the deciding fact. We would have been able to been that one to really push him there instead of Pennsylvania. Now, I have a little conspiracy theory,
of course
because now, the Republican National Convention was here in Georgia, which was a part of what was the catalyst for our trash governor, Brian Kemp, opening the state back up while everybody else was still in quarantine. But that's a whole other, So Georgia got to 99%, right? And I believe it was maybe like 3,000 or 4,000 scattered around left in different little counties and stuff. Pennsylvania had like hundreds of thousands
to go. Count.
I wake up the next morning thinking, okay, Georgia, we about to flip blue. We about to let them know. We about to be in there. You know what I'm saying? So we can claim like we got Biden in office. Still 1%. Still nothing. Then they giving you, 50 votes here. 30 votes here. Girl, give me the vote. And here's Pennsylvania cranking them out by the thousands.
By the thousands, absolutely.
I have a theory that they intentionally held those votes so that Georgia could not be called, so that the race would continue to go on, because we all know that Trump has Kemp in his back pocket.
In his pocket.
Okay, I say the back pocket because he kissing his ass. That's why I said the back pocket specifically. But we all know that. And I really feel like they intentionally held those votes on purpose, because if they would have called Georgia, you know what I'm saying, Nevada was already basically sealed. Like, nobody was really questioning Nevada too much. So if they would have called Georgia, that would have been it for Trump, because he needed all the states on the board that were in play in order for him to even win. So if they called Georgia being flipped, it would have been over for him then. And I think they intentionally didn't do that. But what they didn't count on was, so that's why I was kind of like, because even on CNN, they were saying like, yo, like once Pennsylvania come in, like, hey, it's a wrap.
That's it.
And I was telling
done.
Brittany, I'm like, I'm just waiting on Pennsylvania because Georgia's playing. Georgia was playing.
Georgia was playing. Arizona was playing. It was
ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
It absolutely
and then
was.
We also have to talk about the whole the stop the count and all of that.
Oh goodness.
Why you want to stop the count in the states that were flipping, but you didn't want to stop the count in Arizona and Nevada because you thought you could catch up? You want to keep counting over here, but stop them from counting over there. And mind you, if they stop counting, you still lose. You lost.
And what's crazy is he was trying to manipulate the whole foundation of our government. Like, it blows my mind that more people aren't upset by the fact that people are out there rallying and like trying to disrupt polling places and counting places because they're trying to stop the count. What kind of foolishness is that? Like, literally, this is disrupting the foundation of what this country was founded on. Like, this is what our foundation is voting. It's electing our leader.
Yes. And that's when a lot of like Republicans started to really like detach during the whole like election. They was really like, okay, now you're going too far. Like, we can't even defend you on this. And then for you to be the alleged president of the United States, and you get up there when you're supposed to be giving a speech to the people, you decide to spit off baseless allegations and claims with no evidence, no proof. We all know you lying. Like, what is, and my thing is like, I was saying before, I told Brittany one time, I'm like, I don't see the difference between Trump and Hitler. Tyrants, when I say tyrants, the way he mobilized races, the same way Hitler mobilized over the, like, it's literally the same thing. The way you are refusing to leave, he's literally basically refusing to leave office. You're saying that you're not acknowledging it. When has a president ever not conceded once they've lost? When has a president ever not given a speech after the fact or not invited the elect to the White House? You are a tyrant, and it's dangerous. Like, even with the, I don't know if you saw the those Trump supporters that was about to run Biden's tour bus off the road, and they had guns and they outnumbered the police.
Oh no, I did not see that.
They pulled up in trucks with their Trump flags, literally trying to run his tour bus and barricade off the road, and they had guns, and there was more of them than it was his security and police officers. They outnumbered them. How
many of them were arrested?
You know how many.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's exactly
how many.
What I thought. I just wanted to, make sure, because I was like, maybe there's a chance, but I knew there was no chance.
And I think meanwhile, we out here unarmed, getting shot down.
And the fact that we have a president throwing temper tantrums.
Very that.
What?
Child.
Like, that's crazy. And I honestly, I mean, I know what it is that his pride's hurt because he's joining this short list of one-term presidents. He's already planning his 2024.
Like, I literally was sitting in here watching CNN. I kept busting. Now, granted, I was high, but I was dying laughing, like, just envisioning him like stressing out at the office. Like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like, I'm about to lose. I can't believe this.
I mean,
it's hilarious to think about him like sitting in there stressing, like, oh my God.
I don't know why he's surprised. I don't know, and I don't know if it's just me, but I felt just a whole different energy around this election. I remember right after I voted, I ran to a gas station. I was getting gas, and the service station attendant was a white woman, probably like maybe in her like mid 40s. And she's like, "Oh, you voted?" And I was like, "Yeah, I voted." And she was like, "That's cool. Like, how was it?" And I was like, "It wasn't fast. I mean, it wasn't a problem. It was fast. It was like 5 minutes." She goes, "Cool." She's like, "Yeah, because we got to get Trump up." "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even know what." I said, "Oh, no, you're right. We got to get Trump up out of here." And the fact that she felt comfortable enough to say that. I even had another experience where I was, my job sends me to travel and work at different locations. And I was at a different location, and I was helping Hispanic family, and they were just such a nice family. And I was just, just doing my job. And at the end of the whole transaction, the father, he walks up to me, and we were just talking, and he goes, and it was the day that Biden was kind of confirmed, or that he was, that they were, Pennsylvania was calling it. And he was like, "Hey, did you hear the good news?" So for me, I don't know if like the fact that there were people who were outside of just the Black community, strangers that felt comfortable enough to come up to me and, knew that I had voted, or maybe had an inkling, or maybe just an assumption of what way I might be leaning. They felt comfortable enough to be like, "Hey, like, we got to do something," or, "Hey, this is good that this is happening." I just felt a different energy around this election that I did not feel when Hillary was up for president. Like, I didn't necessarily feel that same level of just like, we have to do something, like urgency. It was a level of a sense of urgency to it.
And I also, now the funny thing about that is, like, I remember when he got elected, like in 2016, and I remember being at work, and the place that I was working at, like, a lot of the clientele were like white women. And I remember them like coming in, and it was like they was making a point to tell me like that they didn't vote for him. Like, they was not with that. But the irony of it was like, because I was thinking to myself, like, for one, I'm like, but your husband did.
Right.
Your husband did. And then for two, when it came out that like how many of them actually, those women actually did vote for him, I started to side eye them like, girl, is you just trying to...
Why you lie?
Girl, you trying to put on... You trying to make sure you safe around me? Like, what's tea? Why you trying to tell me that it ain't a good thing that he here, but your homegirls and your husband voted for him? Like,
that's wild. Okay, so really quick, before we continue this conversation, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to pick back up talking about these lawsuits, child. So, Dee, I know that you got something to say about this man. Talk about all these lawsuits he was going to file for all these states that he lost. Like, well, it was like 6 lawsuits. I want to say it was like Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, Arizona. I want to say Wisconsin and Michigan. But it was like six states. So, like, what? Come on now. Like, what?
So, let's start with the fact that the lawsuits began before those states flipped, because once they started seeing that a lot of the once those mail-in ballots started getting counted, and they were coming out of Black cities, Black counties, predominantly Black, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Fulton County, DeKalb County, these key places that they knew, like, okay, we might have a problem.
We might have a problem here.
Literally, a lot of people didn't even realize it at that moment, because they started talking about the lawsuits then, before the states even went blue. And I was like, and I remember saying to Brittany, like, he's showing his hand. He's showing, because you know you're going to lose. You see what's happening. We see what, those of us that are CNN analysts, you know what I'm saying? Those of us that are certified, we see what's happening, and we see the trajectory and where it's going. And you're showing your hand by filing these lawsuits before they even really got good count. Because, like, at that time, I want to say Pennsylvania still had over 1 million votes to count.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And he was filing lawsuits then. And at that time, it was just, and shout out to Wisconsin, my home state. Let me not, because I'm giving Georgia all this love, but shout out to my home state. You know what I'm saying? Tried it last year, but we came back, okay? We showed up and showed out this year and let them know, because people always want to say, are there Black people in Wisconsin? I bet you know now. Okay? Specifically Milwaukee, where I'm from. Shout out to y'all. But yeah, a lot of, like, when Wisconsin and Michigan flipped, that's when he started panicking. And I think it started with Michigan, where they were saying they were going to make Michigan recount. They were going to sue Michigan. And then they brought Pennsylvania into it. And it's like, Pennsylvania got over 1 million votes yet. How you going to file a lawsuit while you're ahead right now? Because at the time, they were red. Those states were still red at that time. So you're sitting here showing your hand because you know you're about to lose. And then on top of that, he tried to throw the lawyers under the bus, talking about they weren't doing what he needed them to do, how he needed them to do it. And my thing is, like, if I was your lawyer, I'd be like, kiss my ass, I'm about to go. Like, because you've lost, sir.
Right.
You won't even be here much longer. So
which is per the usual. I mean, that's his MO, is he typically blames the people around him and fires them or blasts them or whatever.
For, like, putting people, because even Chris Comos. Is it Chris? Chris Comos. Yeah, he had, like, sued him and, like, his mom and everything over just some stuff. Like, that's Trump's thing. Even when before he was president and he was just in business, that was his business tactic. I'm going to just tie you up with litigation, drag this out, and you'll eventually give in. He's a bully. But my thing
is
like,
bully.
You can't bully numbers. You can't bully statistics. These is numbers. They're just counting. That's it. These are just numbers. This is not an opinion or none of that. These are strictly numbers. That can't change. And then for them to try to like, they were trying to sue in Georgia talking about these 53 votes. Girl, 50, you could have the 53 votes. You still didn't get the state.
You still didn't get the state.
You could have your
them
53
votes weren't the difference. Those were not the difference.
At all. But it was absolutely ridiculous. And a lot of clownery. Like a lot of people in the Republican Party, a lot of those officials started to come out in favor of Biden, saying like, listen, this is threatening our democracy. We ain't with that. What he doing ain't cool. We're gonna acknowledge it. And Fox, racist Fox, because we all know Fox is trash anyway. Fox talking about they're not gonna acknowledge. They were talking about, oh well, we're not gonna acknowledge Biden as the president-elect until we know da 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 da. And it's like that. And the only reason why they did that is because they started getting flack from Trump because they called Arizona before everybody else did. And that's why a lot of places where you looked, it said 264 instead of 253 because they called Arizona.
They were already calling
before everybody else did. But Arizona was still counting. So it's like they started trying to save face, and now you talking about, oh well, we're not gonna acknowledge Biden. It's like, well, sweetie, you don't have to acknowledge it. It's happening. It's happening. Nothing you say.
And that's the thing about Fox is, Fox is also like the mouthpiece for the Republican Party in all honesty. And so you've got some of the biggest players when it comes to Republican, mouthpieces like Tucker Carlson, and Hannity and all these fools. I mean, them. You got all them on there, right? Absolute fools. But what I think was just so damaging about that is when you are spewing these types of false statements to your millions of viewers, all you're doing is boosting this divisive energy that's already in the country.
And what did he
do? Our country is already divided. A bunch of
stupidies to go and stand outside the voting booths and stuff, talking about stop
and intimidate people.
Girl, they literally in Arizona. I think in Arizona, some of them had actually got inside, and so it had got to the point where like the reporters weren't even allowed in that vicinity. They were down the street because it was too much going on. And it's like that's just a testament to how dangerous what he was doing is. You got these people out here blindly following you, talking about stop the count. Girl, if we stop the count, he's still lost. Are you looking at the numbers?
Right.
What is going on? I'm sitting here like, is it me, Lord?
And I mean, it just created a culture of like, because I don't know if you saw the posts that were floating on like social media, but I mean, there were so many Trump supporters who were like, if Trump loses, where the Biden supporters going to be at, and like a photo of them with like their machine gun and like all these. I mean, there were so many violent posts that went out online from Trump supporters talking about what they would do to anyone who didn't vote for Trump.
And that was also really Trump's doing though, because he was sending out emails and blasts to his donors saying like they're stealing and little inside tea, because where I'm working at right now, they actually were taking calls like during the campaign for donations for him. And some of those calls were still coming in during the counting process. Like he was still taking money from people while losing. And it's because he was sending out email blasts to his donors telling them like, oh, I need like literally the rhetoric, because I saw the script. And because it's all scripted, and the rhetoric on the script was basically like, we need your support because they're trying to steal the election from us. So we need donors to come do this, that, and the third. And we need to protect Trump and blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
Like
That's wild.
That's a little inside scoop.
That's crazy.
But he was literally like pushing this agenda to his supporters. He was making it like it's fact. Like you can't send out an email telling people that the election is being stolen from you. And then you got little dum-dums like Tommy, whatever her face, saying,
Lauren,
tweeting about it. Like, girl, where's
there's just some people. There's some people who I feel like when they speak, it's just like a little air bubble just full of nothing. Yeah. And Tommy Lauren, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, it's a list of them that I'm just like, you speak and it does nothing for me. So I just don't even look your way. Like, you're not even worth the bit of my attention span. Right. So the election, as we know, is still, I guess, underway, is what they would consider. It's still an ongoing process. There's still so much coverage on it now when it comes to so many of the news outlets. So that is something we'll still be following up until the confirmation and up until the moment that Biden is confirmed January 20th, 2021. So we'll be looking forward to that moment and the foolishness that I'm sure will ensue between now and then.
Yes. And speaking of, I do want to address Mr. Bill Barr, these two attorney generals. Okay. First of all, Mr. Bill Barr, who decided to announce that they will be pursuing these things, these substantial allegations of voting and vote tabulation irregularities or whatever. And basically, they're trying to say that all of these mail-in ballots that were coming in that were predominantly like 70 to 80% Democratic ballots, they're trying to say that they were cheating. Those ballots, a lot of those aren't valid. And everybody knows, well, I ain't gonna say everybody knows. If you don't know, the way that the votes are tabulated and accepted, like the acceptance date on those votes, that's a state regulated thing. Each state has their different way that they do their ballots within certain confines. So even how, I believe it was in Pennsylvania, where as long as it's dated, by a certain date, they'll accept it up to a certain date. Whereas other places, it's like, if it ain't in, it ain't in. You know what I mean? So they're trying to say that was a way of cheating or a way of fraud. And it's like, but you knew that these rules, and mind you, the Supreme Court already threw that case out before.
Already threw that out. And already. I mean, another factor to throw into it is the fact that there's all types of shipping delays regardless, just because of what's going on with the pandemic. So
and because of Trump and what was going on with the post office. It was all a setup from the beginning. Right. It was all a setup. And also, the peasant that is the Kentucky Attorney General, Daniel
Cameron.
If he hadn't already let Black people down before, just months ago, okay? If Black people are not already upset enough with you, you decide again that you felt the need to use your voice that wasn't needed, because Kentucky has nothing to do with any of this. Nobody was talking about Kentucky at all throughout the entire days of tabulation. Nobody talked about y'all. But he decided that it was a good idea for him to join in on these lawsuits in order to support his people in asking the Supreme Court to reverse the absentee ballot ruling of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And it's like, who asked you?
Right.
Who asked you? I don't understand like that. Like, you didn't even have to speak. Kentucky has nothing to do with this. Trump is not winning, so you don't need to keep pandering. You really don't. You've done enough damage in 2020. We don't need any more.
Oh, there's so many names I want to call him. I mean, there's so many that are just they're just circulating all in the brain. But I'm just gonna stick with Uncle Tom for now. And I just think part of I can't fully understand his reasoning. I can't understand what he gains from that, because I mean, maybe Trump likes you more, but newsflash, he's not going to be president in January. Like,
and if all goes well, he'll be in jail on his way out.
Come on now, like let it be so, Lord, let it be. Like, but I was telling someone the other day, I don't see that happening. I just don't see them convicting him. I don't see it. Not. I don't see it. Just like he got out of being in the war, I see him getting out of this. But in right. So, before we wrap up the political conversation, we just really want to urge everyone, especially our Georgia listeners, if there's a runoff election near you, please get out and vote. But Georgia especially, it is going to be so important that you get out January the 5th, there will be a runoff election for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. There is it's Warnock against Loeffler. Warnock is the Democratic, and then you've also got Ossoff against Perdue, and Ossoff is the Democratic. And this is an opportunity for, as Biden comes in as president, to be able to actually do things, because this was an issue that Obama faced going in, and that other presidents have faced previously before. Is if you don't have a Congress that will support you, they will block you at every single opportunity they get. And another thing I would say is I don't believe Biden's people are listening, but if they are, just by some chance, y'all need to executive order everything just like Trump did. If he has set a precedent for being able to use his power and no one has done anything about it, he has set a precedent for using his power to get his agenda done. Y'all need to do the same thing. And we need to do things like, and it's going to be so important as a Black community, as a human community, that we hold this president and vice president accountable. Now that they have been elected, or once they are elected and once they're confirmed.
Child, they've been elected.
Yes. But we got to keep it correct.
It is correct. Elected.
It is elected.
He won.
But it's just going to be so important that we hold them accountable. Like, whatever it is that needs to be done to benefit the communities and the people that need it, especially with this pandemic, especially with our struggling economy and the debt, especially with everything just going on in the world, we are going to need hold our leaders accountable. So yes, get out and vote in those runoffs, and please make sure you're just being active and helpful in growing this global community.
In Georgia, folks, that's going to be January 5th.
Yes.
January
Put it in your calendar.
And I just want to emphasize it because, and even they did it with Obama. We always want to talk about how, and I even saw it after he was elected, people like, oh, well, it's just going to go back to the way it was and blah, blah, blah. It's because people are not locally voting. Vote for this runoff January 5th. We need the Senate to get things done. We need
to get
the
anything
Senate
done. Absolutely.
To get anything done. We need control within Congress in order to get things done, in order to get those bills passed. Also, I just want to stress to people, because like a lot of people are being kind of cynical about it all, but you have to make sure not only that you vote for this runoff, but make sure y'all are voting in the primary. There are votes every 2 years, not just every 4. The primaries during the middle of the term, they do another vote, which is another chance for them to get more control. Make sure you're voting locally. Make sure you're paying attention. Know who's running. Know what they stand for, and vote for that. You know what I mean? Make sure you're getting out there, because a lot of the reason why we can't get stuff done for us, or we can't get our people in office, is because a lot of Black people don't vote locally. A lot of people don't vote unless it's the presidential vote. That's because it's the most publicized. But you have to pay attention to what's going on in your county, because a lot of that is what shapes and affects you.
Absolutely.
At the beginning, it starts there. So make sure January 5th, Georgia.
Yes,
I'm stressing
Georgia,
it for a reason. Go
get
vote.
Out and vote.
Go
Absolutely.
Vote. Sorry, I had to stress
Warnock and Ossoff are both running on the Democratic ticket. So please get out and vote. And just a little nugget of information. I believe it's the Pastor Warnock who's running against Kelly Loeffler.
Yeah.
And Kelly Loeffler is a co-owner of the Atlanta Dream. The reason it's so important, George, is that y'all get out and vote, is the Atlanta Dream does not even support Kelly Loeffler. As far as the actual WNBA players, they do not stand behind her because they do not, like, they just can't mesh with her character. So when even your employees don't mesh with who you are, you have no business being in a place of power for an entire state. You have no business representing the entire state. And it has nothing to do with her ability with her being a woman. It has everything to do with her character.
Absolutely.
So yes, it is so important that you get out and vote. Please vote in those runoffs so that things can get done. So to lighten up the conversation a little bit, I wanted to ask you if you've heard this foolishness that I heard. Keke Palmer tweeted the other day, right?
Keke Palmer tweeted never starts good for me because it's always something.
And she was tweeting and she said something to the effect of, well, what if your EBT card only lets you buy healthy food, and then put the little eye emojis?
Yeah.
Like, I just think something I've noticed, a trend in Black celebrities, is many times there's this attack on people in positions where they're using government assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we get that you're rich. Okay. All of you rich celebrities out there who've been making these comments about specifically Black people and people who are on, government assistance who are getting food. But what blows my mind about this is there's so many times this conversation is connected back to like healthy food and healthiness. Yes. And why are we not talking about building up new systems so that they're out of poverty? Why are we not talking
about... And mind you, she tried to save face by saying, oh, well, we should just make it free so the farmers can go out of business, girl. Right. Like, that costs money for them too. Like, what are you talking about? My thing with that is, like, first of all, Keke, girl, you're a child star. Girl, you don't know the struggle, girl. Not really.
Not for real.
You don't know what really goes down. You know what I'm saying? You have not lived that life. You should not speak about what you don't know.
What you don't know.
You know what I'm saying? And be clear. There's a reason why these things are priced the way they are. There's a reason why it's done the way it's done. It's intentional. They know that people in impoverished areas are typically Black and they won't be able to afford it. You can't just take your EBT card to the Whole Foods. You're not going to get much. You only get that you only get it once a month. So Absolutely. You're not going to be able to get much. And those food, like healthy food, perishes very quickly, which is another reason why it's, people in that position buy a lot of non-perishable items because it has to last them the entire month. They can't just go next week and spend some
and
more
do it again. Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not that easy for them. And also, too, a lot of those people work multiple jobs or they're constantly working. They don't have the time to always sit and create these elaborate meals or have chefs, all the shade, have chefs that come and cook for them. You know what I'm saying? They can't afford these things. Sometimes your kids got to get the little quick noodles because that's what we got time to do. That's what they're able to make.
And sometimes,
if you're not home.
These families are in food deserts. Like they're literally in spaces where they don't have access to fresh food, or they don't have access to this produce or this fresh meat or whatever that would just make the meals that much more substantial or that much healthier. So I think it's ridiculous that here she is, a young Black woman who has money, who has influence, that she's talking like this because it just shows how, one, ignorant she is, and two, how really disconnected she is from the regular human experience. Like, and I think you have no business speaking on this at all.
Exactly. Like, and it's a trend with her to, like, I understand she be trying to use her voice, but a lot of times I feel like she don't do her research, you know what I'm saying? Or she don't really realize, like, she don't know how to read the situation and read the moment and really understand it. She kind of speaks on the fly of what she found out or what somebody else said, you know what I mean? Like,
or the couple of tweets that she read.
Right, the couple of tweets that she read. Like, girl, how many Whole Foods have you seen in the hood? Point them out.
Come on now.
Point them out.
Point them out.
You can't find no Whole Foods, you can't even find no Target. Okay? Point them out. You know what I'm saying? These places are not in our neighborhoods for a reason. If they don't have a car, then what? You can't be like, where they got to go to what's close by. And who's trying to carry all these Whole Food groceries across 3-4 buses? Who's trying to do that? You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't like cabs is really, who got money to be spending all this money on cabs,
money for cabs
and Ubers
all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Like, girl, think. Use your brain. It wasn't
realistic. It's like she's lost all sense of reality because she's a celebrity. Like that didn't even make sense what she said.
Even when that whole thing with the protest and like that military person where she was telling him like, oh, girl, he's in uniform. He's not allowed to do that. there are rules within the military. Like, girl, you need to
they have to show some decorum.
Yourself.
Like,
you have to be educated about these
wasn't
things.
she yelling him to get down there? And what was she saying? Not kneel with us.
I think she did say that. Yeah, I feel like she was saying like kneel with us, and it's like,
kneel with us and show us you're with us.
He is right now. He is in uniform, and they have rules and regulations.
Man is at work.
And if he loses his job, are you going to support him?
Right. This man is at work. You need to, girl, put your Black Power sign up.
Exactly. Just continue to protest.
Keep marching. Girl, at least
if he don't. And my thing is like, you can't force people to kneel if they don't feel compelled to do it. If you're forcing them, it's not genuine. You don't want that type of support because it's not genuine. Because even if he did, because you pressured him about it, so then he decides to kneel, but when he walk away, he still feel how he felt when he kneeled before. You know what I mean? He still feels the same way. You're not changing anything. Now, what would be more organic is if they just saw you doing your thing and they was like, "Oh, I want to be a part of that." That moves,
right?
But no,
exactly.
You got to be the face and the voice.
The face.
And no shade, because I really like. I like her, but sometimes it be like, girl, like sometimes it's like she wants the attention and she wants to be the face of the change. And it's like, just do your part. The recognition will come. You're Keke Palmer. Just do your part.
It's like that hunger for relevancy. Like, sis, you don't have to be every hashtag. You don't have to be every conversation to stay relevant. Your talent speaks for you. You don't have to do like some of these other clowns out here juggling and whistling and spinning on their heads. You don't have to do all of that because you could easily just be a class act. You could just be that fantastic of a talent, of a voice, of an activist if you just do it. Maybe do it.
Yeah.
A little research. A little research and do it. You know,
that's just like when she said she said something about like lemon water ain't actually helping nothing. And it's like, girl, did you do your Googles? Girl, you don't know the health benefits of lemon water, sweetie? Come on, girl. Like stop it.
Just
who told you that?
And lemon water is so
I like
good.
her, but it's like sometimes I'll be like, girl, you doing too much. Like, team too much. That's the thing. She be too much sometimes. And to be like, girl.
She does.
You be loud and wrong. Like, you at least be right. Like, at least when Amanda Seals
Keke.
do it, you know, she got a point. Keke just be loud and wrong.
At least she
be like,
right. And she had done some research.
Hey, I remember when Keke Palmer had her talk show. And, you know, I thought that was dope and everything because I understand, like, you know, she's a young Black woman finding herself and really getting into it all. You know what I'm saying? And probably I'll give her the benefit of the doubt of the fact that because of her growing up differently, maybe this is all just new to her. And she's loving it and, you know, enjoying it. So I can respect that. But it's like, just do your Googles first, babe. That's all we're asking.
Please do your
Googles
first.
And be aware of what you're saying. Because when you're loud and wrong, you're not helping anybody.
Anyone at all. And speaking of loud and wrong, Sister Eva Longoria.
She was loud, passionate, and wrong.
Has called you to the mourner's bench. You have been called forward because somebody needs to lay hands on Eva.
Eva Longoria. Now, I love Desperate Housewives. That's my show, girl. Love it.
Such a good show.
And let's preface it by saying, in no way do I think that she intended to do what she did. But it's another case of loud and wrong. You got to do your Googles and think before you speak. Because she felt like Latina women were the real heroines of this election, and that Latina women were the ones who got Biden
elected. Oh my goodness.
Now, Eva, babe, Eva girl, granted, a lot of Latina women came out, voted, and did their thing, especially in places like Arizona. But you can't forget, Eva Boo, Florida and Texas didn't do us they let us down this year. Okay.
But no, Florida did not surprise me because Florida does that.
But I'm saying, as far as like the Latin vote, that a lot of the Latin vote is in Texas, Florida, California, Arizona, like those type of states. So
I wasn't surprised by Florida.
No, Eva girl, I don't think the Latina women flipped no states. I don't think they did it.
I don't think so either.
Especially when, what was it, like 90% of Black women, was it? You know, I'm just saying, Eva, we flipped 2 states. No, 4 states. Let's be clear. 4 states. We flipped 4 states. That was Black women specifically. Eva girl, we love our brown sisters. We do. But we don't get many times to have our moment. So please don't take our moment.
Please stop.
We did this and we're proud. Let us be proud. What you need to do is talk to your people in Texas and Florida and figure out why they let us down. That's the question. That's the
somebody needs to talk. Somebody needs to talk to Gina Rodriguez before she comes back out of her hole, because she's always sticking her foot in her mouth to another case of loud and wrong. But I'm gonna leave her where she is this week.
I hope she stays where she is. I hope she don't say nothing else.
Nothing else. No time soon.
Yeah, Eva Longoria, we love you, babe. But girl, nah.
Yes, but girl, nah. Loud and wrong. That might even become a hashtag. Look, loud and wrong.
And she came out quick, like, no, I didn't. No, I love Black women. No.
Right.
I dated a Black man. No.
Look, right. They love to throw that one out there.
And her good girlfriend, Carrie, was like, oh, I know her. That's not it. That's not what it was.
Right. That's not. It's so
and it's
classy.
like nobody was calling her like a racist or nothing like that. We was just saying, Eva, girl, you wrong.
You wrong.
She was.
Right. She was
Nobody
said
wrong. Anything.
No,
I don't think anybody thinks she was like a racist or nothing. Like, she just was loud and wrong. And there's nothing wrong with calling her out for that. And to Carrie, if you was her homegirl, you'd text her and be like, girl, you're loud and wrong. You know what I'm saying? We didn't need your statement.
And the thing is, she actually might have. I don't know if they text, if they cool like that, but I have a feeling, just from what I've perceived and heard, because I've listened to several interviews of Kerry Washington, and she seems like the kind of person who actually might be like, all right now, Eva, like, you know, I'm with you. I'm going to make a statement on your behalf, but you were wrong, just so we're clear. You know, like, I could see that having happened.
And Eva was so passionate. She was passionate when she was talking so fast. she really believed it. Like, she just knew, like, yes, we did this. Like, girl, you didn't.
Sit down.
I hate to break it to you, but you did.
Right. Sit down. So guys, that has been our big burger of a conversation for this week. We've talked politics. And before we get out, you know, we've got to do what we do. We've got to do it for the culture. And we've got to shout out our Black businesses this week. I'm super excited to be shouting out another person I know personally. This is one of my fraternity brothers, specifically my line brother, my Live 5.
Live 5.
Yes. But the name of his business, his name is LeBrandon Tyree, and the name of his business is Tyree's Tasty Treats. So for those of you who love a good old home cooked cake, pie, good old Southern dessert, like a nice old banana pudding. You know, there's so many of us who love good, just home cooked desserts. And he's got cakes, he's got pies, he's got cheesecakes. So check him out on Facebook. That's Tyree's, that's Tyre, Tyree's Tasty Treats. That's here in Alabama.
Come on, Tyree, cook that food up for us, babe.
Let me tell you.
I'm going to come get some other than the banana pudding, because I don't like banana. I'm going to get something else.
Cooking so many times, he throws down. Like, of our line, we were the two who cooked. Yeah. He cooked the good old Southern, fill you up meals, and I'd be the one experimenting in the kitchen.
Come on, with the good old Southern meals. Does he do like plates and stuff? Or
now I don't know. I know that right now it's mostly desserts. I don't know if he'll get into plates. I could easily see him getting into plates, because he can do that. Let me tell you, he'll get your plate together now.
Okay.
But yes, I love him and just got to shout him out. So yes. And what you got for us this week for the culture?
Okay, so I have something for all my beautiful Black nerds like me who are into anime and cosplay and all of that. So what I want to shout out today is actually the Urban Anime League. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, and they have like a website and everything. But what's super dope about them, not only do they showcase, because there's a lot of like Black people who love anime, but they also showcase those Black characters in anime, a lot of the cosplay that people do, because a lot of that isn't, it's not shown. And there are a lot. Okay. Like, people think that we're a minority. There are a lot of Black people who are in the cosplay and all of that. But also they do like meetups, they do events and all that stuff like that. So I think that's super dope for us to kind of have a safe place where we can come and feel comfortable and be us, because when we, at places like Comic-Con and stuff, we are the minority at those type of events. But as a community, there are a lot of Black people who are in the anime, and a lot of people don't even realize they're in the anime because they don't know certain things are anime.
They don't know certain things are anime. Exactly. Yeah, that's very true. That is very true.
Yeah, I'm like, so yes,
we got the Urban Anime League. Yes, and Tyree's Tasty Treats for the culture this week.
Come on, so alliteration.
Fam, we just want to, yes, I live for a good alliteration moment. Like, when I saw Tyree's Tasty Treats, I was like, yes, he did that. And he was also, his background's in English and language arts too, so I'm pretty sure that was intentional. But we just want to thank you guys. Thank you, 50 Lamb Fam, for tuning back in for this episode. We love you. We hope you've enjoyed the 50 Lamb Chronicles this week. And if you haven't heard it today, again, we love you. We love to see you shine. We love to see you tune in, and we're looking forward to that engagement. So we got a question for you this week. What do you think of the Eva Longoria situation? So guys, check us out on IG. Check us out on Facebook. We're going to have the question posted. We want to get a little comment, a little feedback from y'all. And we just want to see what y'all are thinking based off of a little commentary we gave. So until next time, we'll see you guys.
Peace.
Love ya.